It's impossible to come to the floor today and not talk about what hundreds of millions of Americans are thinking about today, some of whom will be driving late to the post office, heavy laden with an envelope that they hope they got right, to file their taxes. It is tax day in America, April the 15th, and it is a tough, tough day for working families, small businesses, and family farms. You know, Will Rogers said famously, the only difference between death and taxes is that death doesn't get worse when Congress is in session. And that's probably never been as true in my 10 years here on Capitol Hill than it's been in the last year and a half under this administration and this majority in Congress. Now, we heard a lot yesterday here on the floor of the Congress about tax cuts that have been passed into law. And I really rise this morning, Mr. Speaker, to really set the record straight, because the American people have a choice to make this fall, and they deserve to know the facts. Yesterday, I enjoyed a number of speakers from the Democrat majority who came down boasting of having cut taxes by hundreds of billions of dollars. I think I even heard one speaker say that this Congress had cut taxes more than any Congress in American history. That one elicited a chuckle yesterday, and I can't help respond the same today. Here are the facts. First and foremost, this Congress has voted and this President has signed into law $670 billion in tax increases in the last year and a half. $670 billion. And the list includes 14 tax hikes signed into law, totaling $316 billion on middle-class families, in direct violation of the pledge that President Obama made not to raise taxes on individuals that make less than $200,000 a year, or families filing jointly that make less than $250,000 a year. It really is astonishing. And thanks to the great work of the Committee on Ways and Means, the Republican minority there, led by the distinguished gentleman from Michigan, David Camp, people can go to the website. They can go to GOP.gov. They can go to the website of the Ways and Means Committee and look at this full list. Under the health care bill, Public Law 111-148, new taxes on individuals who don't purchase government-approved health insurance, it's $17 billion over 10. A new tax on employers who fail to fully comply with government insurance mandates, $52 billion in tax increases. A new 40% excise tax on certain high-cost health plans, that's $32 billion in tax increases over 10. And on and on and on the list goes. But that's not where it ends. Under SCHIP, Public Law 113-3, tobacco tax increase and expanded enforcement authority, $65.515 billion in tax increases over 10. So-called stimulus bill repealed guidance allowing certain taxpayers to claim losses of an acquired corporation. That's a $6.9 billion tax increase. And on the list goes. It is a $670.341 billion and counting. And I say again, not only has this Congress increased taxes by $670 billion since President Obama took office, but the list includes 14 tax increases totaling over $316 billion on middle-class families. It is truly astonishing to think that arriving on the scene during the worst economy in 25 years, that the response of this administration and this Congress has been to take what, in my judgment, was excessive spending under Republican control and put it on steroids and pay for it with hundreds of billions of dollars in new taxes and, of course, enacting more government. Now, taking directly on the assertion of my Democrat colleagues in the time I have remaining, the suggestion that Democrats have passed the largest tax cuts in history, you know, the American people got to be asking, you know, are they kidding? But no, they're not. In fact, the President, in remarks while signing the government takeover of health care with $570 billion in tax increases in it, actually said, quote, "And when this exchange is up and running, millions of people will get tax breaks to help them afford coverage, which represents the largest middle-class tax cut for health care in history," close quote. Now, I was on a television show just right after the distinguished senator from Illinois, Senator Dick Durbin, where he made the same assertion. And even PolitiFact, an independent and analytical organization online, took a look at what Senator Durbin said, suggesting that Obamacare was the largest middle-class tax cut in history, and they gave it a false the next day. Here are the facts. Here's where the stretch comes from. And it is the assertion, presumably, by Democrats that the $466 billion in subsidies paid directly to insurance companies in the health care takeover represents a tax cut. Well, let me, if I just say from the record, from my heart, paying insurance companies isn't a tax cut to me. Okay? I think, I was raised south of Highway 40, but I'm trying to keep, as long as, if this Congress ever wants to get around to actually cutting my taxes, writing checks to insurance companies that you're paying for with higher taxes, that's not a tax cut to me. A tax cut to me is reduce my taxes so I can keep more of my hard-earned money. But that's where I think there's other nickel-dime things in the stimulus bill, the refundable tax payments they're pointing to. But the biggest chunk of their claim of having cut taxes is $466 billion in subsidies paid directly to insurance companies in the health care takeover. And I think that's why PolitiFact referred to Senator Durbin's assertion as false, as an independent analysis, and why independent observers have also rejected that. Look, it's a serious day in the life of the nation. The truth is, the American people are hurting. This government is running about a $1.3 trillion deficit. We ought to get serious about fiscal discipline in Washington, D.C., and we ought to get real about giving the American people across-the-board tax relief. Only cutting taxes across the board, like John F. Kennedy did, like Ronald Reagan did, like George W. Bush did after the towers fell, only by cutting taxes across the board for working families, small businesses, and family farms can we hope to ignite the entrepreneurial energy of this country to lift Americans and to create jobs once again. So I appreciate the time the gentlelady has yielded. It's important to set the record straight, and the American people deserve to know on tax day that this administration and this Congress have increased taxes by $670 billion and counting, because in just a few months after Congress has made its decisions, the American people are going to get a chance to make theirs. And I yield back to the gentlelady.